So then I already did a quick round asking people, have you installed, so who has installed Anaconda on your computer? Somebody hasn't. Yes. So if you want, start by doing that. So there's some links on the installing Python plus GIS. So you can download Anaconda from their web page based on your operating system. Also, if you are working with a university computer, there is this software center. If you search for Anaconda, take the latest package from there. So at least there you shouldn't have any problems installing it. When you install Anaconda, there's kind of many things that happen, but I will show kind of in a very simplistic approach how to do then the package installations from Anaconda prompt. So I'll now go quickly around, check that everybody has Anaconda installed, then I'll show quickly how I would install these packages, and indeed it might take a while, and then we can solve individual problems as they occur. Where you can find all the information is this installing Python plus GIS. If you scroll down, so there's this section creating a new environment using Conda. So this is now one way of doing the installations. And I kind of like this approach because we do everything from the scratch and you see which all packages we are installing. You could also use some readily made environment file. I could provide you with one with all the required packages. But this way you can actually see what happens when installing each package. So for example, when we then install GeoPandas, it installs many other packages. And then sometimes if you get into trouble, that's because then the dependencies of different packages don't match. And then you might need to update something. But what we're now doing is that we're kind of creating an environment in Conda, which makes sure that we kind of start from a clean table, and everything we install should then match. And another important word is a channel. So we'll be using channels when installing. So there are different channels, and the kind of rule of thumb there is good to stick to. So if you install something from one channel, install also everything else from that channel. So if you don't specify the channel, Conda installs from the default Anaconda channel. Most of the GIS packages are in the Conda Forge channel, so then let's also install everything else if available from there. The point is that you should have a command line where you can call Conda, which is then the kind of tool we are using. So if you can run Conda and get some kind of Conda help visible, then you are in the right place. What we will start with is that we will create an environment. So now that you have installed Anaconda on your computer, I have it in here. So there is some kind of Python interpreter, so python.exe on your machine under your Anaconda installation. So that is the default Anaconda Python. And if I now on the command line would call Python, enter, it opens kind of a interpreter. It tells which Python version it is. I have now 3.7, you might have 3.8. And then there you can do whatever Python stuff, import, math, all these things. But then if you try to import something that you don't have, for example, import map classify, so then in that environment you don't have that module or package installed. And then this is sometimes useful for testing stuff. So now I'm using the base Python interpreter, and then I can type exit to exit the Python interface. And you can then also run, if you would run Python script files, you could call Python script file.py and run that. But as mentioned, we will create an environment. So now that if you have just installed Anaconda, you would be probably quite okay just installing everything to the base environment, but also like if you will be working with Python for many years, things develop, packages get updated or outdated, and especially the GIS packages, they have a lot of dependencies, so it's kind of good to package them in an environment where you are sure that everything works together. And then you might have some other environment for just basic, very basic data analysis where you don't need GeoPandas, you don't need Shapely and such. So I recommend that everybody would create an environment, and you can read more about the environments in Conda documentation. I'll drop it for you on Slack. And we can see what that does. So we will use a command called Conda create name of the environment. You also have this in the, so it's now this line of the code. So we will create an environment. I call it GIS here. You can call it my GIS environment, whatever you want, but we could imagine that we are generating this generic GIS environment. And then I recommend that you add this Python equals to 3.7. We did this with Olivia the other day, and she had Python 3.8, and then some of the GIS packages don't work with the most new Python version. So you can define, you could also make an environment with Python 2.7 if you want, if you have some old script from some friend which has some old dependencies. So you can control everything in there. So at this point, when I'm interacting with Conda on the command line, I hope you can see this. So I type in this Conda create, then n, or then double dash and name, then I'll now make GIS 1 because I probably have a GIS environment already, so you can call it GIS. Then Python 3.7, and then it will start asking you questions. First of all, do you allow network connections? Yes. So when creating Conda environments, there's already some very basic stuff that gets installed, and you can see the list of the things in here, but not so many things. And you can then just press Y and enter. And then you can see the process. Let's hope it doesn't take the whole evening, but it installs, freshly installs Python, installs pip, installs some setting up tools, and so on. So now it's ready, and after creating the environment, you need to activate it. So Conda activate GIS. And then you see that you are now in that environment. And what actually happened on the disk, so now I'm in my Anaconda installation, then there is a folder called envs. So now I have this GIS env with Python interpreter in there. So now when I have activated this environment, and if I would here call Python, then it actually calls that Python from that environment, and all the packages that I have installed to this environment are available. So there's probably some inbuilt modules, but then import GeoPandas doesn't work because I haven't installed it in here. Okay, so now, too many tabs. I have created the environment, I have activated the environment, so then I can start installing packages. Somebody asked, what is this channel? Wait. Install. So when you're installing new stuff, of course you often start by Googling. Try to look for some pages that look like this. So often the syntax is that Conda install package name or Conda install channel, Conda forge package name, and then sometimes it might be that you are not even able to install it on a Windows machine. So this page tells you on which operating systems this this command will work, but this is basically what we are using. So you can copy paste it from here, for example. So let's start by installing GeoPandas. This might take a moment. Conda install channel Conda for GeoPandas. There we go. We're trusting EduRoam here quite heavily. So when you do this, it goes online, checks from this channel, is this package, does it exist? If you made a typo, it tells you that, hey, did you mean GeoPandas? And in a moment it will then give us more information about what all other packages will be installed when we're installing GeoPandas. So kind of all of these steps have been automatically packaged when you're using the CSC environment. So these steps have been pre-made so that we don't have to all the time install stuff. So there's quite a lot of stuff that gets installed when installing GeoPandas. There might be something familiar. There's GeoPandas itself. Then there is Pandas gets installed. NumPy gets installed, PyProy, now it's the latest version, Shapely, and so on. So then you just press yes. So mine is done. So if I would now, again, I'm just activating Python on the command line. So Python, and now if I call import GeoPandas as GPD, should work. And then I could do GPD geodata frame and so on. So this is now I'm on the command line giving these Python commands, but then I could start a Jupyter Lab in this environment and then run my notebooks in there. And now it has GeoPandas and it's able to do all the GeoPandas stuff. So with this idea, you can then install all the rest of the packages. I'll try to update this page as we continue. So next week we will need some mapping, but I want to test them all first before I put them here, because if there's some problems. But you can then continue and install these in here. I'll install one more. So I think I will next install then, I think you get some kind of Jupyter Lab installation with Anaconda, but also if you install Jupyter Lab through Conda, then you can use it in a bit different way. So I'll just show how I am, at least at the moment, working with Jupyter Lab. Like if you would then have, now have this environment, and let's imagine you would want to then work with the exercises. So you could take this piece where you install Jupyter Lab, so Jupyter Lab without spaces, install that. So there's different ways in which you then work with Python on your own computer. When working with notebooks, it's good to start Jupyter Lab because it visualizes the notebooks nicely and so on. If you actually open the notebook files on a computer, you can see that they are JSON files. So I have here, I haven't really planned to show anything from here, but if I would take, I have here, for example, the exercise files, and if I open one of these notebooks, you see that it's quite cryptic. So it's this JSON file. So when you open this in a Jupyter Lab, it shows up nicely. Of course, then if you're just making script files, which you might be doing in the exercise, so with Anaconda you have also installed Spider, which is then it has a text editor and then a Python IPython console. And then you can run script files or then run lines of script files. So if I, for example, do some line of code, there is, you can run the the current line in here. So we used to use Spider in this course 2 years ago, but then doing things with the Jupyter notebooks is a bit more structured. So you can code here, or then you can run the whole code from top to the bottom. And I intend to check how you can then link this Python environment that we just, so if you install to the base Python, then you will have all the packages readily available, but I need to check how you link this Spider environment then to the environment Python interpreter that we created. But I'll first install this. So I'm not surprised if there's some failing installation, so we'll then solve those case by case, maybe today, or then if it's too late also during the exercise sessions we can continue with this. But I'll show you, just to show you the full workflow on how to work on your own machines. Okay, so now I have gone so far that I have created an environment, activated it, installed some packages, then I have also installed Jupyter Lab. So now I will firstly actually navigate to some folder. So I'll go to my exercise folder, so CD folder, and in that folder where my notebooks are located, so you could have done git clone on your own machine, you have some folder there, and then in there called Jupyter Lab. Now that I have installed it, so then this, after a few moments, it kind of launches Jupyter Lab and opens up a Jupyter Lab instance on a web browser. So this is now running locally. It should be the same experience as in CSC notebooks, but this is now, everything is local. And the folder structure is the one that I have on my machine. And then here I have exercise 2, the template for exercise 2 in here, and I can start running these. It should work because I have installed all these packages in there. So that's basically how you would do it. And then if it tells me that, hey, package not found, then you can shut down. So it's now, if you look at your command prompt, it looks like this. So it's running, actively running the Jupyter Lab. So you can either shut down from file, shut down, or then in here, press Ctrl-C a few times, and then it kills the process. So that's how you can work from your own machine using Jupyter Lab in the environment. And if you are missing some package, then you can just install it in this environment. So I'm at least missing map classify now from this new environment. So I'll just install that. So that's how it goes. If everything goes nicely, then often you have some kind of problems with the installations, and then we'll just solve those.
Can you repeat?
Yeah.
I wasn't listening.
Yes. Okay.
Probably I wasn't.
Well, let's
How
wait.
do we actually access, because probably I have different Jupyter Labs now.
Okay.
How do we access the one?
Okay, I'll explain again. So what I have done in Anaconda prompt, I have created an environment, I have activated that. In that environment, I have installed all the packages. Then I have installed Jupyter Lab also through Conda. And then after that, in the folder where you want to, then just call Jupyter Lab, press enter, and then it opens up.
So I go to the folder to which I have installed the environment that I want to use.
No, the folder, so I can just close this now. I forget that. Then I open the command line again. It doesn't matter in which order, so you need to, I could launch Jupyter Lab in here, but it probably doesn't allow me to. So I want to navigate to the correct folder. Then I want to activate the environment to get all the packages available. So now I'm in the correct folder with the correct environment activated. Then I do Jupyter space lab, enter, and then I don't touch anything. It opens up a browser window with a local Jupyter Lab instance.